David Bowie invests $5 million. Question: why is a rock star starting his own internet company? 2006. The project shuts down, millions gone. Question: is this a failure? 2013. Bowie says in an interview, "I'd do BowieNet again. I have no regrets." Wait, he lost millions but has no regrets? Why? The answer is in those forums, in the conversations Bowie had with thousands of users between 1998-2006. In 2002, a forum user asked Bowie, "Why is BowieNet different from other fan sites?" Bowie's answer was, "Because I'm learning here. You're teaching me how artists will survive in the future." What was he learning? And how does what he learned connect to what Patreon, Spotify, and social media do today? When he died in 2016, tech journalists noticed something. Everything BowieNet did, direct fan connection, monthly subscription model, exclusive content access, had become the music industry standard. What did Bowie see in 1998? And more importantly, were those $5 million really lost, or were they tuition paid to see the future? If this incredible story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Don't forget to turn on notifications for the untold stories of music history's greatest legends. David Bowie's interest in technology started long before he launched BowieNet in 1998. In 1994, he did something that shocked everyone in the music industry. He built his own website. DavidBowie.com was one of the first professional websites owned by a musician at that time. But Bowie didn't just create a website. He updated it daily, communicated directly with fans, and began testing the potential of the digital world. His friends and music industry executives found this strange. Why was a rock star spending time at a computer? Why did he want such close contact with his fans? But Bowie had seen something very few people could understand at that time. The internet wasn't just a tool for sharing information. The internet was a revolution that would forever change the traditional relationship between artist and fan. In 1996, Bowie gave an interview to a tech magazine, and what he said is chilling to read today. "The music industry as we know it is about to end," he said. "In the future, artists won't need record companies. They'll connect directly with their fans, and this change will happen much faster than people imagine." The journalist conducting the interview thought these words were crazy. How would the music industry function without record companies? How would artists make their recordings, distribute their albums? But Bowie just smiled and added, "The technology isn't ready yet, but when it is, everything will change, and I want to be ready." 2 years after those words, in September 1998, Bowie was sitting in a meeting with investors. At the table were tech entrepreneurs, internet infrastructure specialists, and Bowie's own financial advisors. The advisors were worried. Bowie had presented them with a business plan, and this plan was insane. He wanted to create not just a website, not just a fan club, but a fully functional internet service provider. His own domain, his own email service, his own content management system. Total estimated cost, $5 million. And worst of all, there was no guarantee when this money would return. One of the advisors objected. "Mr. Bowie, you're a musician. Getting into the internet service provider business doesn't make sense. This field is extremely technical and competitive. There are giants like AOL, CompuServe. How will you compete?" Bowie's answer was clear. "I won't compete. I'm going to do something completely different from what they do. I want to connect with my fans. I'm not just selling them internet access, I'm offering them a community, an experience." Another advisor emphasized the financial risks. "You could lose this $5 million. It might never come back." Bowie just nodded. "I know, but some things are worth more than money. I want to see the future, and the only way is to create it with my own hands." After the meeting, Bowie chose his technology partner, Ultrastar Internet Services. The company's founder, Robert Goodale, was one of the rare people who understood Bowie's vision. "In our first meeting, Bowie explained to me how he saw the internet," Goodale said in an interview years later. "Most people saw the internet as an information source. Bowie saw it as an art platform, a place where music, visual art, writing, and community interaction came together. As he explained, I got excited too, because he didn't just want to create a fan site. He wanted to create something completely new. But creating BowieNet wasn't easy. When the project started in the fall of 1998, technical challenges began to snowball. First, there were infrastructure issues. Bowie wanted to offer users real internet access, which meant dial-up connections over phone lines. Local access numbers needed to be set up in every city. Then there was the email system. Each user would be given an @davidbowie.com address, which required a complex server infrastructure. The hardest part was content management. Bowie didn't want just a static website. Daily updates, exclusive concerts, behind-the-scenes footage from studio recordings, articles he wrote himself, content that fans could upload, and of course forums. On September 1st, 1998, BowieNet officially went live. Bowie did the launch himself. He wrote the first message on the website. "Welcome." The message began. "This isn't just a website. This is our place, your place. A place where we'll discover music, art and each other. I'll be here with you, every day, because you mean everything to me. And now there's no middleman between us." 5,000 people signed up in the first week. The monthly fee was $19.95. What did users get for this fee? First, full internet access. Second, an @davidbowie.com email address. Third, exclusive content archive. Fourth, forums moderated by Bowie. Fifth, regular live chat sessions. And most importantly, being in the same digital space as David Bowie. In the early months, Bowie was active in the forums almost every day. In the mornings over coffee, he'd sit at his computer, read fans' messages, and write responses. Sometimes the conversations were about music. "How did you feel recording the Hunky Dory album?" someone asked. Bowie wrote a long response. "Fear. So much fear. When I made that album, I hadn't proven anything yet, and I knew I had so much to say, but I was afraid no one would listen. Every song was a confession, and when I finished the album, I thought, this will either kill me or bring me back to life. Fortunately, it was the latter. Sometimes the conversations were more personal. A user shared their struggle with depression and how Bowie's music saved them. Bowie replied, "Reading your story really moved me. I know music can save people because it saved me too. But I want you to know, it wasn't the music that saved you, it was the strength inside you. The music just helped you reach it. That strength is still in you, and it always will be." These kinds of interactions were what made BowieNet special. Users weren't just talking to a celebrity, they were having real, honest, deep conversations with David Bowie. But BowieNet wasn't just about forums. Bowie constantly fed the platform with new content. When he was recording in the studio, he'd upload behind-the-scenes camera footage. When he was on concert tours, he'd share daily blog posts. When working on a new album, he'd let BowieNet members exclusively listen to demos of unfinished tracks. He'd even ask fans for feedback on some songs. Is this verse strong enough? Does the bridge work? And fans would actually give feedback. Bowie took this feedback seriously. Some songs on the Hours album were shaped by the BowieNet community's suggestions, but this dreamlike atmosphere had a price, a very heavy price. BowieNet's operational costs were much higher than initially estimated. The server infrastructure constantly required upgrades. Bandwidth costs were skyrocketing. A small team had been assembled for content production, and they had salaries. Most importantly, there was the time Bowie himself was spending. He was dedicating so much time to BowieNet that he was stealing time from his music career. His advisors were worried, but Bowie wasn't listening. At the end of 1999, the first financial reports came in. BowieNet had reached 15,000 subscribers at $19.95 per month. This meant approximately $300,000 in revenue per month, about $3.5 million annually. It sounded good, but the expense side was much heavier. Operational costs, staff salaries, server upgrades, bandwidth fees, and marketing expenses totaled nearly $500,000 per month. So BowieNet was losing $200,000 every month, $2.5 million annually, and the initial $5 million investment hadn't been recovered yet. One of the financial advisors made a presentation to Bowie. "Mr. Bowie, this can't continue. You have two options. Either you need to increase the subscription fee or cut costs, preferably both." Bowie listened to the presentation, but his answer was clear: "I won't raise the subscription fee. $19.95 is already a lot of money for many people. I want real fans, not rich fans. As for cutting costs, where can I cut? Content quality? Server capacity? Should I fire people from the team?" The advisor insisted. "Then BowieNet won't be profitable. This can continue as a hobby, but it's unsustainable as a business." Bowie smiled. "Who said this is a business? This is an experiment, and experiments sometimes cost money." This attitude summed up Bowie's perspective on BowieNet. He didn't see it as a revenue source. He saw it as a laboratory, a testing ground to understand how the music industry would work in the future. And this test was teaching him a lot. For example, he learned how valuable fans found direct connection. People weren't just paying for music. They were paying for access to Bowie, to ask him questions, to read his responses, to be in the same community. This is the concept at the core of Patreon, OnlyFans, all kinds of direct creator-consumer platforms today. But Bowie discovered this in 1999, when these platforms weren't even imagined yet. Something interesting was happening in BowieNet's forums. Users weren't just talking to Bowie, they were talking to each other too. They were discussing music, sharing artwork, uploading their own songs, and some were even forming friendships through BowieNet. Some users would meet in real life and organize concerts. Bowie was observing this and was fascinated. In a forum post he wrote, "What surprises me most is that this isn't just a gathering place for my fans. This has become a community. You're connecting with each other, and that's amazing, because it's gone beyond what I created. This place now belongs to you." This observation taught Bowie something else. People were paying for belonging. Music was just an entry point. What was truly valuable was being in the same space with like-minded people, sharing, talking, existing. Today, Discord servers, Slack communities, all kinds of membership-based platforms do exactly this. People pay for belonging. Bowie realized this in 2000. 20 years later, this would become one of the music industry's biggest revenue models. In 2001, BowieNet experienced a crisis. One of the servers crashed, and thousands of users' emails were lost. The technical team was going crazy. Users were angry. Forums were flooded with complaint messages. Advisors prepared an official apology statement for Bowie. But Bowie did more. That night he stayed in the forums for hours and talked to every affected user individually. "I'm sorry," he told each one. "This is my fault. I was responsible for you, and I let you down. I will make this right." And he did make it right. He gave every affected user 3 months of free membership. He also made a special concert recording and shared it only with them. And this crisis management increased the community's trust in Bowie. People saw that Bowie really cared. The early 2000s were a chaotic time in the music industry. Napster had launched and everyone was downloading music for free. Record companies were panicking. Lawyers were dealing with copyright violations. Artists were losing revenue. But Bowie thought differently. In an interview he said, "Everyone sees Napster as the enemy, but I see it as a sign. People want to access music differently. It won't be like it used to be. We either adapt or we die. My advice, adapt." The journalist conducting the interview asked, "Have you adapted?" Bowie laughed. "I started adapting 5 years ago. BowieNet is my way of adapting." Actually, Bowie was right. BowieNet was his way of adapting to the Napster era. If people were downloading music for free, Bowie wasn't going to just sell them music. He was going to sell them experience, access, community, and this model was working. BowieNet subscribers weren't using Napster like other people, because if they wanted music from Bowie, they were already getting it exclusively through BowieNet. Because for them, the value wasn't in the music. The value was in the connection with Bowie, being part of the community. Bowie learned that people were very willing to pay for exclusive content. The demo recordings, studio footage, exclusive concerts he shared on BowieNet were highly valued by users. He learned that people were willing to pay for early access. Before a new album came out, he'd let BowieNet members listen to the tracks. Today, Spotify, Apple Music, every platform uses the early access model. Bowie was doing this in 2003. But despite all these learnings, BowieNet was financially sinking. By the end of 2003, the project had lost a total of $4 million. Advisors and accountants held a meeting. They all said the same thing: BowieNet must be shut down. This is unsustainable. Bowie listened but objected. No, not yet. There's still so much to learn. The meeting ended tensely, but eventually a compromise was reached. BowieNet would continue, but costs would be cut. By the end of 2005, big changes were happening in technology. Social media was being born. MySpace had exploded. Facebook was spreading through universities. YouTube had just launched. People no longer needed an internet service provider. Broadband internet was becoming widespread. Many things BowieNet offered could now be found for free on other platforms. Bowie saw this and understood that an era was closing. In April 2006, Bowie made a decision. BowieNet would shut down, but he would do it gently. First, he made an announcement in the forums. "Dear BowieNet community, we've had an amazing journey together for 8 years, but everything has an end. BowieNet will close in August, but know that this isn't goodbye, because what we learned, experienced and shared here together will stay with us forever." The community was shocked. Many users cried. Some begged, "Please don't shut it down." But Bowie was firm in his decision. In the final months, Bowie focused on celebrating BowieNet's last days. He organized exclusive concerts. He shared never-released recordings. On the last day of August, Bowie stayed online for hours. Thousands of messages were coming in. Everyone was saying thank you. Bowie read them all, and he wrote his final message: "I thank you. You showed me the future, and that gift can't be measured by any amount of money. See you soon." At midnight, the servers shut down. BowieNet became history. Financially speaking, BowieNet was a complete disaster. Over 8 years, it had lost a total of $6 million. The initial $5 million investment plus money he added from his pocket each year. It never made a profit. The advisors were right. Financially, it was a failure. But Bowie never regretted it. In one of his rare interviews in 2013, a journalist asked about BowieNet. "Do you regret it?" Bowie smiled. "Regret? Never. BowieNet was one of my most valuable experiences. What I learned there brought me so much in the following years. Those $6 million weren't a loss. They were tuition, and it was the best education I ever got." Looking back, it's clear how right Bowie was. In 2008, Spotify was founded. The model? Unlimited music access for a monthly subscription. BowieNet was also a monthly subscription model. In 2013, Patreon was founded. The model? Fans directly support creators and get exclusive content in return. On BowieNet, Bowie was doing exactly that. In 2016, Instagram launched live broadcasts. Artists were talking directly with fans. BowieNet's forums served the same function 15 years earlier. Today, almost every musician has a Discord server, private Patreon channel, produces content for members only. They're all variations of what Bowie did in 1998. Tech journalists noticed this connection in 2016 when Bowie died. An article was published on The Verge. David Bowie invented the modern music industry in 1998. The article stated, "BowieNet looked like a failure at the time, but looking back, we understand how far ahead Bowie was. He tried direct fan relationships, the subscription model, exclusive content, community building years ago, and he failed because the technology wasn't ready yet. But the concept was right, and today the entire industry follows his vision." Bowie himself knew this. In one of his final interviews in 2015, he said, "Seeing the future is easy. The hard part is acting on it. Because usually when you see the future, no one believes you and you're alone, but you still have to do it." BowieNet was my way of seeing the future. Yes, it cost a lot, but I'd do it again, because the value of some things isn't immediately apparent. Sometimes it's understood years later. David Bowie's BowieNet adventure teaches us many things. First, visionaries are never understood. When Bowie started his own internet service provider in 1998, everyone thought he was crazy. But he had seen something. He had seen how the internet would change art and the artist-fan relationship. And he was right. Second, vision has a cost. Bowie lost $6 million, but he saw that money as an investment, a fee paid to gain knowledge about the future. And indeed, what he learned added tremendous value to him in the following years. Third, success can't always be measured immediately. When BowieNet closed, it looked like a failure. But looking at it today, you can see how far ahead Bowie was. He had just acted too early. Today, when we listen to music on Spotify, support creators on Patreon, interact with artists in live broadcasts on Instagram, we're actually living in the world Bowie imagined in 1998. BowieNet might be thought of as a failure, but the truth is, BowieNet was successful. It was just 20 years ahead of its time, and Bowie knew this. That's why he never regretted it. That's why he said, "I saw the future, I just acted too early." And he was right, because the future eventually came. And when it did, we all saw that Bowie was right. BowieNet's story isn't about a rock star's internet adventure. It's the story of a visionary seeing the future, believing in it, and being willing to pay the price. Sometimes the biggest successes aren't immediately recognized. Sometimes the most important projects fail financially. But that doesn't mean they're worthless. Sometimes value emerges much later, when everyone understands the truth. David Bowie lost $6 million with BowieNet, but he won the future of the music industry, and that value is immeasurable. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button. Tell us in the comments, do you think Bowie was right? Was BowieNet a failed project or a vision ahead of its time?